Alright, hello everybody. My name is Cooper Cavender and I will be teaching you how to make a light plot for your show at ACMA in LX-Free. LX-Free is a free application for both Windows and Mac. I've used it 3 years out of the 5 years that I've been working at Tech at ACMA, and it's a great program. It's actually pretty powerful and it's to the point, easy. You don't have to mess around with all of the complex stuff that you would do so in other programs like AutoCAD or Vectorworks. So jumping straight into it, I'm just going to go over the layout. This big view window that we have right here is our plot. And this is the main stage. So scrolling through here and zooming out, we can see that we have our side sets up here, our electrics, our box booms, the apron, and then our catwalks. So going down to the bottom, just quickly going through this. This is all stuff that you would mark down for the show. This is a little these are all the symbols that we're going to be using, and this is the inventory list. I don't know how up to date this is. For me, it was this was made about 2 years ago, so not all of the lights that we have in here may not apply to you currently. And then going over, we have our key and then just some other information for the show. So starting off with the controls of the software, you're going to get pretty familiar with this bar at the top up here. You have your pointer tool, which is just your mouse. You have a light tool, which means you can drag in lights, and then you have multiple other different types of actual drawing tools to build your set from. This is what the default main stage look is like. I'll show you a piece of one of my own plots at the end for a Blue Box show that I just finished a couple months ago. But diving into building a plot for main stage, this is what I'll start with. So what we're going to want to start with is going through these tabs right here. These tabs will basically show you the different layers, the different lights you can have, and your information for those lights. So this little box right here is where you're gonna get all the light symbols from. These range by manufacturer through the list. So at the top you have your ETC fixtures, your source 4s, your PARs, your Altmans, and whatnot, and those will all correspond to this little key down here, which is pretty helpful if you have multiple designers on a show, multiple programmers on a show that don't know what the plot necessarily is, they don't know how it's programmed, they can always refer to this. So to start off, I'm going to go in and I'm going to zoom in to make it easy, and then I'm going to scroll down to our Fresnel fixtures, which are the fixtures that we currently have as front light. And then I'm going to import one of our 6x12s and then one of our 6x16s. And to import these, you're going to just want to hit this button right here, click the fixture, and then just click right in. So now that we have these, I'm going to select them, and you can see when I move them around on this grid right here, they're basically moving freely. To fix that, you're going to want to go into view and then snap to grid to fix that, and then you'll see that they're moving uniformly. This is much easier because it's measured differently on your X and Y values, and yeah, it makes it pretty easy. So going into here, I have my two lights. I have them on second catwalk, and I will from here select one of them and then go into the info tab. Now in the info tab, you can see that there's a lot of these different ways that you can label, organize, basically assign your lights with information that would be needed, which is pretty helpful, and it's also pretty direct. So at the top you have the position, which you can label on there if you want. These check marks enable what is shown and what isn't, so you can still, so if you wanted to, you could put the information in here, not have it check marked, and if you needed to later come back into this and double check your information while not necessarily having it on your printed plot, that's pretty good. So since I have this on my front of house second, which is our second catwalk, it will automatically snap to that position. Now, the number of the lights, that'll be automatically assigned whenever you import something, so I usually uncheck that. Color is your gels. LX Free is really good in the way that it works well with the Rosco gels. So if I was to do Rosco 2 and then hit this little check mark, you can see that it turned amber, which is very, very helpful, especially when you're using things like top light or whatnot. So while we're at it, I'm going to assign my color for top light, and then just go like this. And then once I have the little check marks, you'll see that the color comes up in front of the light. So moving on from that, just going down the list, frost, that's something that we don't really need because we only use diffusions, and that's on rare occasion, at least when I'm working. We have our channel, our circuit, our dimmer, and then the only other one that I would ever use is group, which would help if you're assigning groups on the ion and then you just wanted to say, hey, these lights are in these groups. So moving on from channel, we'll just make this one, and then from here we'll make this channel 2. So given that it's on our second catwalk, this is where all of our dimmers in the PAC actually start, at least to my knowledge. So in here, I'm going to say, let's put this at circuit, I think it would probably be around 3, and then this would be at circuit 4 or dimmer 4. You can do whatever you like, it doesn't really matter. It's a little confusing because you can see that the channel is not in bold and the dimmer is in bold, but it's okay. You can change that if you want. So moving along from here, that's the basics of how to, that's the basics of how to hang something and get it assigned with your dimmer and your color. If you want to rotate it, you can go into here and then go into direction and say, hey, I want to go 180. Oops. I lied. It's over here. You're going to want to go into your rotation. You can hit 90. You can do 135. You can do negative 135. You can do 270. All that fun stuff. For this purpose, I'm going to zoom out, and then I'm going to point it at the actual stage. So I'm going to start by rotating it. Let's say, since that's 45 degrees, I'll make this 25. And then I'll make this 25 as well. So then that would be projecting onto probably about stage right, around here. This isn't actually how I would probably design it, but just for the purposes of showing the software, this is how I would show it. So next we're going to want to go into here to our circle tool. I'm going to make a little tool. I'm going to make a little circle like this and just assign it on downstage right. And then I'm going to go over here and then hit fill, and that'll make it translucent. And then the line style, I'm going to change it into checkered. And then once we do that, I'm going to take our text tool and just go in the middle and hit A. So this, for all intents and purposes, will be pool A. And if we want to, we can go back down here, select our 2 lights, go into our info, and then turn on our number, except change it to A. And then that will assign that it's on pool A. So there's that. There's your fundamental basics of how to make a light plot. With the information I've given, I assume that you can probably learn your way into the software, and this is just the basics, but you will learn it. It's a pretty simple software. Some stuff can be hidden within, but I promise, spend enough time and you'll learn it pretty well. All right, thanks. Okay, so after switching computers really quick, here is my small plot for the Spitfire grill. I didn't really go about making any of the info stuff because it was in the blue box and we didn't really need it. I was the only designer on the show, so it was pretty much not needed. But from a perspective, here is how I did it. So you can see that I have down here my front light pools, so A, B, these will be covering these pools, B, C, and so on. I have my front or my top lights, and then I also have some C changers in here as well.